What's good? We're back. With more development for this action-packed action game. Developed by yours truly, AE Dudes. Let me make sure my volume is not too loud. Alright, so the goal for today, or rather the goals for today, is to implement hold on real quick. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so the goals for today is to implement rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and shotgun reloading. So last time we implemented shotgun reloads. I can show it to you real quick. Okay. So we got shotguns. And as you can see, alright, so the weapons interfere with the collisions. That's why this is not taking any damage. So I have to fix that. That's a bug that I just realized. So right here, you'll see that it can take damage now. It's because of the collisions, not the collision. So each weapon has a sphere, right? And when I shoot the shotgun, I'm generating multiple line traces, right? So right here in the act is to ignore, I have to initialize this act is to ignore with all the weapons, right? So that when I shoot, the line traces that I generate don't interact with these area spheres, which are sphere component. So I'm just gonna, to do that, I'm gonna steal some code from I did the same thing at combat component, so I'll just do the same thing here. See, I get all the weapon classes and I ignore them. So let's do that. Copy this. And I'm actually gonna copy all of this. paste it right here. Then I'm gonna delete that. So these are their, this is the function that's gonna hold the array to ignore. And I'm just gonna copy the syntax. Which is the declaration. I believe I put it right here. Okay, it's not there. I'm trying to remember where I declared it. Okay, here it is. So we got the array. I just wanted to keep, I want to keep everything, you know. I want to keep all of the declarations with the same name as much as possible throughout the entire project. That's why you see me copying and pasting. And we're gonna call this and begin play. And then we're going to call this right here. And right here.
Last century will accompany you. Have an eye strip.
Right, and we can test this real quick. Make sure everything works. And of course it crashes because I made some changes to the header. So I gotta rebuild the entire project. Make sure everything's working correctly. Yep. And all right, we're building. And I know another thing I need to fix is this right here. Actually, it is right. Hold on. Right. It's actually right here. I need to fix this return value because when I shoot the shotgun, if I don't have an impact point, they're just the bullet trails that I'm spawning right here, and I'm setting the vector parameter to equal target. I'm setting the vector parameter target to be the end location of the line traces that I'm generating here when I fire the weapon, right? So when I fire the weapon, I'm generating line traces, right? And the endpoint of these line traces is what, if you look right here, if you look at these white bullet trails, those bullet trails, the endpoints of those bullet trails is this end location, right? But I'm using this as a little hack. I'm using this variable as a hack, so I'm actually gonna end up deleting this because I'm gonna fix this right now. So actually what I'm fixing is when I shoot the shotgun, you see the line traces don't go where I'm aiming. They go to random locations unless I hit something, right? And I'm suspecting this is because when there is no impact point, when I shoot and the line traces don't get an impact point right here, the location that I'm returning to equal end is too big. Like the value is too big for the float data type, so it's overflowing and it's not giving it a valid like value. So like right here, if I say f vector and 0 0 0, see these are floats, right? All these components of the f vector are floats, and this returns an f vector with each component being too large for the float data type when there is no impact point, right? Unless I hit something, and that's when we get a valid like location, right? Even if I go up here and I shoot down there, it's far, right? It's still pretty far, but I'm still getting valid hit points that gives me a valid location to end the bullet trails, no matter how far it is. Well, not no matter how far it is, but as long as it's, you know, within the line traces maximum distance, which is 70,000 units. So not to confuse you guys, but I'm just gonna fix this real quick by first I just deleted one of the variables. So right here, I need to everywhere where I was calling this variable that I just deleted, I have to call end, right? Okay, spawning the bullet trails. And I know right here I have to delete it. Delete these as well. Okay, and now I need to fix this right here. So it's all about order of operations, right? So let's divide this by, so we do parentheses first, exponents, multiplication, then division. Wait, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition to subtraction. We're going to divide this by this. Actually, we're going to divide it by right here. So we're dividing the full length of the line trace by the distance between the random location and the starting location, right? Getting that distance. So the distance between basically the barrel where the bullet comes out, the barrel of the gun, the point, the hole in the barrel where the bullet comes out, and the random location where we generate the point for the for the bullet, right? And so that length divided by basically that length plus, multiplied by 70,000. So I'm expecting this to work. I hope if this doesn't work, then I have to think more about it. So it's still pretty random, but at least they're closer to the location. Actually, now it just messed up the whole thing. Now even when I hit something, it's not pointing towards it. So I have to fix that. Yo, Slizzard, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Today I'm working on shotgun reloads. I'm working on shotgun reloads, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and that's it. So not too much, but a good amount. How you doing? Hope everything's going well with you. So my math was wrong. I have to think about this more. Alright, so I'm gonna move on now to start implementing the shotguns. No, I'm gonna work on the rocket launchers first. And to refresh my memory, I'm going to open up Also, so I'm gonna stream later on today. So today's gonna be like a two-part stream. Right now I'm just working on shotguns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, and that's it. And then later on today, I'm going to implement this kill feed. I'm going to implement the kill feed here, and this kill notification that the player gets when they kill another player. So I think that'll make the game, or rather, or make it look more more official when I'm working on it. If this is updated, you know, if these two are updated. So that's gonna happen later on today. Alright, so first things first, let's go to our projectile class because we're going to implement rocket launchers and grenade launchers. They're all using projectiles, so we're going to inherit from the projectile class, and develop the bullets, or rather the rocket shells for the rocket launcher and the grenade launcher on the projectile class. Okay, let's do this. We got the projectile right here. I think I actually want to close most of these tabs because there's a lot of tabs open and I don't need all of them right now, right? So I'm gonna close these tabs. Okay, and first things first, let's create we need to create a projectile class that inherits from projectile. So we have projectile bullet, projectile weapon. We need to create a class right here. And this is going to be inheriting from projectile, right? And we can call this, I hope this music isn't too loud. Am I using any plugins for my projectile class? No, no plugins. Not using any plugins in my game except for motion warping. I'm only using the plugins that Unreal Engine provides. Everything's coded from scratch, and I'm just using the code, the functions from the function library that the Unreal Engine provides in their libraries, right? So, and they have everything that you're talking about, like everything like having the projectile being affected by wind, gravity, and so on. That's all within Unreal Engine's source code, and I can just modify that, right? So they make everything. Epic made everything really accessible and modifiable. So you really don't need any plugins from any other developer that doesn't work at Epic. You know, everything you can make a complete game straight from Unreal Engine without any plugins. You just have to know what to look for, right? That's the only thing that you're really getting with the plugins, is that the developer who made the plugin just made everything like easily accessible, so you don't have to search for it. So this plugin is gonna be, sorry, this projectile class is gonna be called. So these are called projectile weapon, projectile bullet. I'll call this projectile explosive. Right, a projectile explosive. And this will be looks good to me. All right, so we have projectile explosive here. So first things first, let me create my constructor. And actually, I think I'm just gonna copy so let me copy these. Copy these functions because I know I might need them. And I'm going to copy these. Right here. And I can go ahead and delete everything in here. Same goes for in here. And let me just rename all the classes because the new class. And this is going to inherit from this class. So I'm going to use this constructor. And I'll just add on to it. Yeah, alright, good. I'm glad you understand. I don't know how far back my stream is. I don't know if it's really synchronized. I'm just trying to see how many seconds behind my stream is. Yeah, alright, good. I'm glad you understand. Alright. Like, so it's not that far behind. Okay. So what's first? Let's think about this. I'm doing the rocket launcher first. So the rocket launcher is, let's look at the projectile class. What are we doing in here? Got a collision box. So we already have all these of a mesh. Let's go ahead and turn off the collisions on the mesh. Right. So we don't need collisions on the mesh. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that there's not a huge delay, and the delay isn't too bad. So I'm happy it's not too bad. Actually, I'm not paying attention. This is supposed to be right here. So we don't need collisions on the mesh. Okay. And for the projectile, for the explosive, we are okay, let's start from the basics. We know it's a rocket, right? We're shooting a rocket launcher, not a grenade launcher. We're shooting a rocket like an RPG. So we need smoke trails because a rocket has smoke coming out of the back of it. So let's go ahead and include Niagara because we need the Niagara system for smoke. And we don't have Niagara right now. Let's go ahead and include Niagara. Niagara. And put it in quotation marks. Right. And after I do that, I'm gonna have to rebuild the project. So let me rebuild the project. And I know that, hold on. Okay, it says, oh yikes, okay. This is not the plugin. I thought this was the plugin build CS. It's not. Gotta find the plugin build CS. So okay, this is the plugin folder. Right? It says plugin. Epic does not list Niagara as a dependency, but the module depends on Niagara. So I need to update the plugin, which is this is the I'm looking for the build CS. Am I reading this correctly? Plugin does not list. Where is the plugin build.cs file? I need to find where it is. Because this is the plugins right here, but it's saying this is not the build.cs file. Let me search for it. Okay, so you see there's two of them. And this one is saying the Epic gameplay system does not list Niagara. Wait a minute. So this is the Epic gameplay system build.cs, and this is the other one. I have to include it here as well. The Epic gameplay system does not list Niagara as a dependency, but the module, the Epic gameplay system, depends on Niagara. Okay, let's check. Right here. Right. So you really have to know. Really have to know what you're looking for. I have to include it here as well. Even though I included it here. Right, this is the plugin build.cs. I also have to include it here. So let's include it. And this is called Niagara. And I shouldn't get the, and I got a projectile CPP.9. Right here. And there we go. Shouldn't get any errors or warnings. Okay. Oh, yikes. I forgot to take out the comma. Yikes. Right here. I gotta take out that comma. Otherwise, it's looking for another. And I gotta put a comma right here. Alright. Shouldn't get any more errors or warnings. Right, it's not, Niagara is not a plugin. So it's a module. Jeez, I'm really making these noob mistakes. Needs to go up here. And copy this. And I believe it should work now, if I'm not mistaken. I already uh thought I deleted it. Yikes. Let's see. Okay. So let's try deleting the binaries, intermediate, and saved. Go to plugins and delete the binaries and intermediate. I'm spelling it wrong. I'm spelling Niagara wrong, man. I'm such a scrub. I'm spelling it wrong. That's why it's not recognizing it. Sheesh. It's Niagara. And I spelled it right here, but I spelled it wrong in the other places. Hey, Mykola, how you doing? I'm doing well. Just working on trying to implement this Niagara system, and I'm getting a lot of errors because it's just I'm making a simple error. I'm trying to find out what error is wrong. Epic, I hope you're doing well. How's your test, your exam? This is the Epic Gameplay System plugin. Epic Gameplay System referenced via default plugins does not contain the Niagara module but listed in the Unreal Engine projects plugins. I thought I deleted it, man. Jeez. Is Niagara a plugin? It's not a plugin, it's just a mod. You gotta be kidding. It can't be a plugin, man. There's no way. There's no way. Hold on. Let me make sure. It is a plugin, man. Wait. It's a plugin. Ah, it is a plugin. Dang it. I didn't know it was a plugin. My fault. Let's go ahead and fix that. Yikes. Yikes. Oh man. Hope this works now. So we got it right there, and let's check right here. Plugins. And I have two colons right here. It should be one colon. So let me check the other file before I build again. There's an extra, this should not be there. And this should not be there. Okay. So let's rename this to new project. And let's rebuild this. Yeah, I didn't know Niagara was a plugin either, but look, it works now. So you learn something. That's why, remember when I spoke to you last time, I said that when you're using Unreal Engine, you start with no knowledge right here, right? And this is infinite knowledge. So this is time right here. This is the time that you've been using it. This is, let's say, this is time. This is knowledge. Right? You start with, you haven't used it at all, but you use it for 0 time, and you have 0 knowledge. As soon as you start using it, the learning curve is just like this. Right? And no matter how much time you get, so even when your time is up, you used it for a long time over here. Alright, it's more like this actually. It's like this, and then it slowly goes like that. It's like that for the longest time. Right? It's crazy. And I've been using it for Unreal Engine for 2 years, and I'm still learning. It still feels like this right now. It still feels like I know nothing. Right? But we have a successful build, so let's go ahead and restart. Okay, so let's go ahead and change that. And I need to set my settings back. Right? Need to do that. last but not least, I need to change this right there. Okay. Now we can start creating the projectiles. So alright. Oh yeah, also Mike Cola. Thanks a lot for the donation last stream. I didn't see it until after I got off. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. So what do we need to do? All right, we're doing the projectiles. So we have right here. Let's look at what we're implementing. Go to weapons, weapon packs. Weapons. And we're implementing the rocket projectile, right? So this is a grenade launcher. We're implementing this. Right, this one. And this one. So this is for the rocket launcher. This is for the grenade launcher. And right now I'm working on the smoke trails that come out from the back, right? So when we shoot it, we want smoke trails coming out from the back. That's what Niagara's for. Is my main job a programmer, or do I study Unreal Engine as a hobby? That's a hard question. I just love 3D art and games. So I don't know what to say. I'm just a game developer because I animate as well. So I started off animating. Like I started off with animation, and then actually I started off with developing characters with like sculpting and retopologizing, and then I got into animation, and then I got into, you know, Unreal Engine, right? So I just love game development in general. I really don't have a true specialization. If I had to pick a specialization, it'll probably have to be either programming or animating, right? But I don't I hope that answers. Like I do whatever job I can do to earn money, I just take it, you know. If I can do the job well and I get paid for it, I'll take it. If it's in game development, as long as it's just programming or animation or like rigging, I'll say those are my three, like my top specialties, or my best. That's where I work at the best: rigging, animation, or programming. But yeah, it started off as a hobby, and it took off from there. I just started off character development, modeling, animating as a hobby, and then got into programming, and then I started earning money. But I was never planning on making money from it. I just did it for fun. and I loved it. And thank God he continued to bless me with more skills, so I just continued doing it, you know. Yikes.
Find your favorite.
Okay, so let's spawn those rocket trails. So the first thing we need is we're going to need this region for the variables. So let's go ahead and copy this. Actually, let's copy all of this right here. And we're gonna paste that down here. And we're gonna actually move these two wait, no, this is fine. This is fine. So we don't need pretty much any of these functions. I just wanted the regions. So we're gonna delete most of these. We can keep. Let's delete that. We need this. We need this. No, we don't need this. We need tracer particle, but we're gonna have to change this to Niagara system. We need this, but we're gonna have to change this to Niagara system component. We don't need this. And we don't need this. So let's go ahead and forward declare Niagara system. So it's going to be called class U Niagara system. And we need a class U Niagara system component. I think that's how you spell it. Right? Yeah. And we can go ahead and copy that. Change that right there. And copy this. Change this right here. And we can call this smoke trail. Or we can call this smoke trail component. And name this to Niagara system. Okay. Now to spawn these, we're going to create. We want to spawn this and begin play, right? So as soon as we launch this projectile, we want to spawn this. So let's create a function right here. It's gonna be called void spawn smoke trail. Right.
Would you love me if I wasn't beautiful? If I was deformed?
And we can go ahead and copy these regions right here. And we're gonna fully qualify this function in the projectile class. Okay, so we're gonna spawn the smoke trail. First we need to do is check. We need to check if this is valid, right? We gotta make sure this is valid before we use it. If this is valid, we need to call a function from the gameplay statics class. We need this include right here. Right? So we're gonna say actually no, it's not gameplay statics. We're using Niagara. So I believe, I don't remember the include. Let me Google it real quick. Niagara function library C++ include. This is what I need. Right, so we're gonna call Niagara function library. We're gonna call spawn. All right, I need to. Let me refresh my Visual Studio project so that these errors can go away, so that it can work, right? So I can see the IntelliSense help. And we're going to call spawn attached. Spawn system attached, right? Because we're going to spawn the smoke from the back of the mesh, and we want it to stay at the back, right? We want to spawn it, and wherever this projectile goes, we want the smoke to stay there and just emit smoke trails from this location. But since this doesn't have a like a skeleton, the smoke is actually going to be spawned like right here at the root. But since this is moving so fast, no one's going to be able to tell. Right, so spawn system attached. And this input takes, you need a Niagara system template, which is this. We need a location to spawn it. We're gonna say get root component. We can get root component will work, or we could just write root component, but either one will work. Now we need an attachment name. We don't have one, so we're just gonna pass in an empty f name, right? Location to spawn it. We can say get actor location. And a rotation, we can pass and get actor rotation, right? Attach location type. We're gonna pass in, I believe is world. Let's see what it has. Keep world position, keep world position. Whatever world position it spawns at, we want to keep that position throughout the whole existence of this rocket being, alive. Auto destroy. Do we want to auto destroy this? Let's think about this. No, we don't want to auto destroy this. Well, actually, let's think. No, we don't want to auto destroy this. I want the smoke trail to disappear after a certain amount of time, right? And if we look at this function right here, it returns a uNiagara component, right? So this is a uNiagara component, not a Niagara system component. And we're going to store this in here. So that we can basically disable the smoke after some time, right? So this spawns the smoke grenade. Not the smoke grenade, this spawns the smoke. You feel like the stream freezes for a second? Is it freezing right now? It doesn't show me dropping any frames or anything. Everything looks fine. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know why it freezes. I don't see it freezing on my end. Sorry, Michael. I don't see it freezing on my end. Maybe it's streaming at 1440p, so you might have to lower your resolution if you haven't tried that yet, because it's actually streaming at 1440p. Right. So we're spawning this right here, and we want to. So we're working on the rocket launcher first. We're spawning this, and let's look at the projectile class that it's inheriting from. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. It has authority. So only if we are on the server, we are registering hit events only on the server. And we have a tracer particle, right? We're not using this right here, so we don't need this in our projectile class. Initialize impact surface sound. We're not using this either, so instead of calling oh, you're at 1080, and is this freezing bad? Yeah, sorry, I can't. There's nothing I can do right now to fix that. I don't see any warnings or anything of drop frames. Sorry about that.
Find your favorite.
So instead of calling super begin play, we're gonna call a actor begin play. So, and then, which means we're gonna have to copy this and here, right? And we need to include the collision box because we're using it. So let's go ahead and include the box component. Right here. So if we're on the server and this is valid, we're gonna, and instead of this being a projectile, we're gonna call this a projectile explosive. Right. And let's go ahead and copy this. And copy this right here. Let's go ahead and actually copy it right here as well. And we're going to override this function. And I don't think we need destroyed for now, so I'm just gonna actually delete it. Right, and this is a virtual void. And this is an override. So let's make sure we override it over here. It's already virtual void, so we're good. Okay. Right, so if we're on the server and this is valid, we're binding the collision box on component hit to this function right here and begin play. All right, nice. I'm glad it's not lagging anymore on your end. If you hear a lot of like noise on my end, it's because there's a train passing my house. So that's the noise that you hear. It's a train passing, one of those huge cargo trains. Okay, so got this. So when we hit something, what I want to do is I want to start a timer. Actually, I want to, let's think about this. So when we hit something, I want it to explode, and I also want to set a timer to turn off the smoke, right? So I want this to happen not only on the server, but on every client. So we're gonna take out the authority, but we'll only apply damage on the server, right? So a component hit will apply damage, but only on the server. So in begin play, we are binding this collision box, which is go ahead and create a new folder, and let's call this rocket launcher. And actually, let's move this folder out here because I know I'm gonna have to rename a lot of stuff, and it always gives me warnings that the name is too long. And within rocket launcher, I'm gonna create another folder with this name. Right. And let's look at the rocket launcher. This is the rocket launcher. So let's create another folder with this name. And let's create a blueprint class based off of projectile. Right? So we have projectile bullet. We need actually projectile weapon is what it needs to be based off of. And just to save some time, I'm actually going to just copy this because this is a projectile weapon, the sniper rifle. So I'm gonna copy that here, and I'm gonna rename it DP rocket launcher. Okay. And we have the sniper here. Let's go ahead and switch the mesh to the rocket launcher. And we can move this backwards and increase the size. Let's change it to like 70. Right. For the projectile class, let's go ahead and copy this. Actually, no, we need to create a new one. Let's create that after we finish coding it. That's what we're coding right now. The fire animation, it is fire rocket launcher, right? This is what it looks like. Looks pretty cool, right? Sick. Let's see what else we need to, the crosshairs for the rocket launcher is going to be I'm going to change the rocket launcher crosshairs to I think I want to use like these, right? So all of them are going to be like this. And then Yeah, hopefully you don't hear that noise anymore. It should be, the noise should have ended now, right? You don't hear it, right? The weapon attributes, damage, the rocket launcher. We're gonna say 170. Ammunition. How many rockets are we gonna hold? I'll say one, and then we're gonna have four. No, I don't want it to be too overpowered. So three. Actually, I'll put four, and then because you only be out, no character's gonna be able to spawn with this. It'll just have to be, you have to pick it up in the world, and then you'll have 4 bullets or 4 rockets. It's not an automatic weapon. What's the threshold? Let me put it to like 3, and we'll modify it after we see it in action. The field of view. Let's leave it like, this is a sniper field of view. So let's put it back to, let's try 50, and we'll check it out. As we work on it, we'll change it. The interpolation speed, I'll leave it at 5. Bullet casing, it doesn't have one. It's a rocket launcher. It is a primary weapon. Weapon type is a, I don't have rocket launcher, so I need to add that. Nice. I'm happy there's no more noise. Heck yeah. So I need to add the weapon type of the rocket launcher. And it should be under enumerations, which is right here. So let's put some space between this one and right here. Hold on. This right here. I'm gonna put this in here as well. And I'm actually gonna use that. And I'm gonna delete this. And the weapon type. Right here. So, no, that's the attachment type. Weapon type, right here. We have pistols, submachine guns, assault rifles, shotguns, sniper rifle. I'm gonna add a bow and arrow later. I need to add grenade launcher and rocket launcher. Grenade launcher. And let's change that. And I also need to add a rocket launcher. Right? And we can go ahead and, yikes, I should have checked to make sure that it should compile. I don't have any, I'm not missing anything, so. Okay, it succeeded. Weapon type is a rocket launcher. The weapon key is this. Now for the icon, I don't think I have like a rocket launcher icon. So I don't know which one I'm gonna use. I guess I'll have to just pick like a random one. Like I just use this one because it's an explosive, right? Until I get like the rocket launcher one, and I need one for grenade launcher as well. And okay. And then we can go to, I'm gonna have to change this, so I'm just gonna exit this out. I'm gonna cancel that out until we're finished coding it. But that's what we're making right here, is a projectile type. Okay, so in begin play, I'm gonna call this right, and what's next? Now we need a sound, because we shoot the rocket, we want the rocket to, when it's flying past you, you want to hear a sound, right? So let's implement that next. With that, we need to create a new function. That's going to be called let's call this rocket, wait, no, explosive, wait, no, projectile in air sound. So play projectile in air sound. That's the best thing I can think of, right? I'm gonna call this and begin play as well. Right, and let's fully qualify this function by declaring it in the class. Do you have the engine built from source, or did you install it through the Epic Launcher? Right now it's built through, it's installed through the Epic Launcher, but when I work on my dedicated server, I'm gonna have to rebuild it from the source code. So it is right now. I did install it through the Epic Launcher, but I'm gonna have to rebuild it from source, right, for the dedicated server. So what I'm working on now is just to get the bare bones of my game down, and then I'll implement this plugin that I'm working on now. So this whole system is a plugin. I'm gonna implement this plugin in the project of the game that's built from the source code, if that makes any sense. Okay, so to play the in-air sound, what we need is, I think I already have the variables that I need. Let's see. I have, this is an impact sound. Okay, I don't have what I need. So I need this. I need to get the class of a sound base. Or for declare it in here. And I need a audio component. Component, right? And I can go ahead and copy this declaration in here. Right, and this is going to be called in air sound. And I also need another one. I don't need this to be a U. I don't need to see this in code, so I can delete this. And I can delete this. And this is going to be a U audio component. And it's going to be called an air sound audio component. And we already call it, we're calling this in begin play, right? So let's go ahead and include, we need gameplay statics. This is where we need gameplay statics. This is one of the libraries that Epic provides us to use for game development. So first we want to check if this is valid, right? This is valid. Then we're going to call U gameplay statics play sound at location. Actually, not play sound at location, but spawn sound attached, right? Because we want to spawn the sound and we want to attach it. We want to spawn the sound and attach it to this as it's flying through the air, so that wherever this moves, the sound is attached to it. If we use play sound at location, it's just gonna play the sound wherever the projectile is spawned is gonna play the sound, and wherever the projectile moves, so wherever this moves, the sound is not gonna follow it. It's just gonna play the sound wherever this spawns. So like right here, it's just gonna play the sound right here, and when we move, the sound is gonna stay in the same spot in the world. We don't want that. We want the sound to follow the projectile wherever it goes. Wherever the projectile goes, we want this sound to follow it, right? So it's called spawn sound attached. And this takes the inputs. Yikes. So the inputs for this function is a sound. We have the sound right here. The component to attach it to, we can say get root component. It takes an f name attached from point name. We don't have one, so we can pass in an empty f name, right? The location. Let's see the other overloads. Okay, location. We just say get actor location. The attached location. The attached location type. we're gonna say keep world position. So whichever way, wherever it spawns in the world on the rocket, we want to keep it at that location on the rocket. When you created a pointer variable and added 0 and added the brackets, it gets no pointer. I've just seen it a lot used. The old style of initializing via equals in your header file. Yeah, exactly. You got it. Whenever I create a pointer and I use the initializer list, this initializes it with no pointer. You see? And I do this with all my variables. It's I think C++ 14. This is a new feature, or that started in C++ 14. So like even if you create a boolean and call it bool, and then you initialize it with this, it initializes it with false, right? So whatever you initialize this brackets with, it initializes it with false, 0. If it's a number, it initializes it with 0. If it's a pointer, 0. So like even like if I say int 32, then this number is initialized with 0. See? So it's just an efficient way to initialize stuff with. It's an efficient way to initialize variables that started in C++ 14. So you don't have to always put equals no pointer when you initialize your pointers, right? So I think this is better. I just use this with everything. Initialize everything with this, with the brackets. What's next? So it says bool stop when attached to destroyed. Yeah. Actually, yeah, for now we'll pass true. So this, when this act is destroyed, do we want to stop this sound? I put true, but in reality, I want to actually, I'm gonna put false here because I want to stop this looping sound whenever we destroy it. Wait. No, I want to stop it when do I want to stop this? Actually, yeah, I'll put true. So, yeah, I'll just leave it like that. I'll leave it whenever this is destroyed, then we'll stop playing it. Right? And we're calling this in begin play. So we're spawning the smoke. We're playing the sound. Right? What else do we need to do? Yeah, no problem. No problem. Ask if I can answer your question. I'll be glad to explain it the best way I can so you can understand it. So we got the smoke trail. We got the sound. Now let's focus on explosion. How do we want to what happens when we hit something? When we hit something, we want to explode it. Want to explode the projectile, right? Want to play the explosion special effects. So we look here, we're calling destroy, and we're getting the impact surface type, and based on the impact surface type, we are alright. So this is for bullets, right? Bullets is the one that uses this impact surface. Time to play. impact surface sound to play, right? The bullet uses this, and the impact particles. So we're not gonna do this in destroyed. We're gonna do this on a projectile weapon. We're gonna create a new function. I'm gonna call this void spawn impact. What is it called? What did I call it again? Impact particle. Spawn impact particle. And you know what I want to do? I want to actually copy this and paste it right here. This uses Niagara. This is for the projectile specifically, so this is good here. But this right here, this can be a function that we could use from the projectile class. So like right here, I'm gonna paste it. Right here. Right. And in the core, I'm going to declare it. I'm gonna fully qualify that function right here. And then I'm gonna call this right here. Instead of calling it like this, I'm just gonna call that. So, and then what I can do is also do this, copy this. And since this is inheriting from projectile, this class projectile explosive is inheriting from projectile, I can just copy that right here. So whenever we hit something with a projectile weapon, with a projectile explosive, we'll just use this inherited function. We're checking if it's valid here. So we're good. So when we hit something, we're checking if it's valid. And then what I want to do is, hold on. Yeah, what I want to do is I want to start a timer. And when the timer finishes, then we'll destroy this whole actor. And that's when this will stop playing. The end air sound will stop playing. But also the main reason why I'm starting a timer when we hit something is because of the smoke trail. If we destroy it right when it hits something, the smoke trail is gonna disappear. So the whole smoke trail, if you shoot a rocket from, like, let's say, if you shoot the rocket 100 feet and it hits something, when it destroys, the smoke trail is gonna destroy with this actor, right? So it'll probably be easier if I show it to you. So let's go ahead and build this. And it's telling me I got an error. Unable to find class delegate enum audio component. Header 65. Thanks. View audio component. So if we create a projectile for the rocket, projectile explosive. So we're creating an object based off of the class projectile explosive. We're gonna call this rocket launcher B projectile. Right. This is a collision box. Go ahead and set the mesh. The mesh for the rocket launcher is right here. Right. And let's go ahead and change this to 5. Let's do 5. Oh, that's too small. Right. So that's pretty good. Right. And just make it a whole number. Okay. Projectile mesh. Let's see. Smoke trail. It needs a Niagara system. Now this is, I don't think I have one here. I should have one. I don't remember if I made one in my prototype or if I, let's see if, let's see. We can use grenade trail. I don't even see it. Maybe it's because of my shades. uh, we'll use grenade trail because I don't see anything else. Yeah, we'll use grenade trail. I think this will work. So let's use grenade trail. This isn't a Niagara. Alright, I'm gonna have to open up my prototype and get my smoke trail from that. Oh, that's right, I did make it. So yeah, I made it last year and I'm not making it again, so I'm just gonna copy it. So this is my prototype of this game. So while that's loading, we can go ahead and an air sound. We can find those. Actually, let's just go ahead and copy it. And right. Here it is. Right. So we're going to migrate this to my project using the asset actions. Where is asset actions? Right here. Migrate. And we can go ahead and migrate this. And this is cool. And we can actually, I want to move this to go to weapons and move it to right here. This is my folder for the prototype. Whatever I use from the prototype, I'll move it in this folder. And air sound is going to be an air loop, right? I think I'm forgetting something. I missed something. When I play an air sound, it needs to take a sound attenuation, but I didn't see that as one of the input parameters. Let's see. Yeah, it's right here. Okay, so I need to put more inputs. Stop when attached to destroyed. Put true. The volume multiplier, we'll put 1.f. It's the same for the pitch multiplier. Actually, let's put 0.5. Nah, we'll just leave it at 1, whatever. The start time, yeah, we'll leave it at 0. So it's gonna start playing the sound at the beginning. And we need the sound attenuation pointer. So let's copy that. And right here, Copy that right there. Copy this macro. I will call this in air. Wow. In air sound attenuation. And we can copy the in-air sound attenuation right here. Right. What else do we need? Use sound attenuation. And it needs a use sound concurrency. We just copy this. Which is basically a C-style cast of a use sound concurrency to a null pointer. And I like putting my pointer sign right after the type. And auto destroy, we can put false, because we're gonna tell it when to destroy it, right? So have I watched any courses on Udemy? You kidding me, man? That's where I learned. Well, not just Udemy, but I that's where I'm a visual learner, so I learned the best from watching. And yes, I did learn from courses on Udemy. There is a great instructor. There's two great instructors on you. Actually, there's three that I recommend. Well, if you're speaking specifically for multiplayer, I can just recommend one instructor. His name is Steven Ulibarri. So right, guys, he's a great instructor. Right, this is where I learned multiplayer logic in this course. They go on sale, so don't let this price scare you. It goes on sale a lot. So if you want to learn multiplayer, right here, this is the guy. This course. If you want to learn C++, I recommend taking this course right here and taking this course for C++ and this course. So this course for C++ and this course for C++, and lastly for C++, this course right here. At least specifically for Unreal Engine, right? So those three courses, this one, and this one. And then for multiplayer, definitely this one. So those are the courses that I recommend. with the Unreal Engine, I don't suggest you start like small and work your way up. I just think you should just dive straight into what you want to learn. You're right. Because the learning curve is going to be steep regardless of where you start. So you might as well start with what you want to learn. And just tackle it head on. Study, study, study. That's all I can recommend, right? Study, 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 and study some more. Keep studying. If you think you know something, keep studying. Watch. Don't follow along blindly and just code what you see on the screen, what you see the instructor coding. I suggest you watch it, watch the lessons, watch them until you understand what's happening on the lesson, and then code in your own, like using your own logic, your own thought process, code what you learned, right? That's the best way to learn. So you watch it, watch like 3 lessons, 4 lessons, whatever, 1 lesson, 2 lessons, understand it, and then code what you learned on your own. And I'm not doing it now, but don't forget to write pseudocode. I'm not writing pseudocode right now because I'm not really doing anything that I need to write pseudocode for, because it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing, right? But usually I write pseudocode, right? Especially if the function is lengthy. Well, this isn't a pseudocode. I just commented that out. But like usually I write pseudocode for everything, and that ensures that I know what I'm doing, and it also helps when I have to come back to look at my code. When I read it, I'm like, okay, that's what I was thinking, you know. So always write your pseudocode. The prices are not so daunting. I have access from uni there. All the courses are free on Udemy. Heck yeah. Hey, the courses are free, man. You get all the courses, man. All of them. By the way, I'm taking the C++ course. The second one you showed. The second one where... Yeah, Tim. That course is awesome, man. Yeah, he's the one, that's where I learned the initializer list of initializing variables. I learned it from him in that course. He teaches C++ 14. So that's where I learned about this. That course is great. All the courses that I just recommended are great. So definitely dive in. Yo, Nerp, what's
The
up?
last century will accompany you. Have a nice trip.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad my advice is good for learning. That's honestly the best way that I learned. Take notes, watch, take notes, and then do it yourself. That's the best way to get out of tutorial hell. Otherwise, you just be stuck watching videos and not knowing why you can't do anything when you open up the application on your own. You know, you're like, dang, what the heck? So I'm glad that my advice can be of use. I'm very happy. Yeah, screw tutorial hell. I never got into it. I never got myself lost in tutorial hell. So I'm happy that my journey is of use, right, to someone else. Actually, I need the sound attenuation, and this has a sound attenuation, so that's cool. So I can use this rocket loop sound attenuation right here. The impact sound. Let's see if we have an impact sound. All right, I have to change an air sound. I have to change it to. So I have to change it to play when silent, so that if someone shoots the rocket and it's far from me, and then the rocket starts getting closer, I can still hear it. I'll still hear it when it gets closer. If it's still like, if it's right here, or it's right here, I'm not gonna hear it because it's looping. The in air sound is looping, so I have to play it even when it's silent. Even when I can't hear it, I have to play the in air sound. That's what this does. The tracer particle. Wait, let's do the impact sound first. This sounds good right here. Impact sound. And it does not have an impact, a tracer particle, because it's a rocket. We're using the in air. We're using the Niagara smoke trail. So for impact, but we have an impact particle when it explodes, right? And that's going to be under FX. Rocket launcher. Right, we're gonna use this one. And then last but not least, let's compile it and then set the projectile class on the rocket. And we're using, hold on, I forgot, I need to rename it. This needs to be BP, right? And this is, and then we're gonna set it right here. So BP rocket launcher V projectile. And then we can actually spawn with it, but for now I'm just gonna drag it onto the world, right? Let's pick it up. Oops, I have to compile because I made some changes to the header file. That's why it crashed. By the way, what are your specs? I tried to run Unreal Engine 4, but with some lag. I'm on Ryzen 5 RTX 580. NERP. I have a 5950X CPU, a 3090, 64 gigabytes of RAM of 3200 mHz, and of course like SSD memory. So it's not the most updated specs, but it's pretty solid. And yeah, Unreal Engine is very heavy on your PC, so I'm not sure. You definitely need like if we look at my performance right now, I'm using just that Visual Studio. Wait, hold on. So this is, I'm like streaming, so that's why my GPU is all the way up here, right? But my CPU is using, well, I can't really compare my CPU to yours because I don't know how to benchmark without really looking at it side by side. So, but Unreal Engine's using, if I open up Unreal Engine, right? If I open up my project, it's using, how much RAM is it using? Unreal Engine is using right now is using 2 gigs, 3 gigs, 6 around 4 gigs. And if I press play, it's still like, so it's around 5 gigs. Let's just say 5 gigs of RAM. And Visual Studio, it's around 1 gig of RAM. And my CPU is not really using too much of anything for some weird reason. I don't know. I guess most of it is on the GPU, right? So I think you need, I think because speed, it uses like a good bit of speed. So it's not like heavy on the loading, but it needs like a good speed for it to run. So for like 4 gigahertz. I don't know what yours is running at. But let's try out these rocket launchers. Right? Oops. Well, we see it right here. There's the rocket. Right? I forgot to set the projectile speed. I didn't kill myself because I didn't apply damage to the projectile yet. So silly me. I would have killed myself if the damage was applied. Let's go to projectile and let's add some speed. Initial speed. Let's see how fast a rocket flies in real life. How fast is a RPG 7 rocket? Oh, missile. It should be called missile, right? MISSILE. So 970 feet per second. So let's convert that to centimeters, feet to centimeters. Because Unreal Engine uses centimeters. So 2000, I'll try 2,900, 29,700. That's a huge number. I don't think this is gonna, I think it's gonna be too fast for us to see and fly. I'm seeing you using 17K allocated on RAM. I have 16 gigabytes. I'm allocating RAM. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. It helps to have a lot of like overhead if you're working in 3D because you never know like how much space you'll need, especially if you're doing game development. Let's try the rocket. See, it's too fast. Oh wait, I didn't initialize the character to hold rockets. Rocket ammo. So I need to wait. I need to initialize the ammo to 1. And I need to initialize the character to hold in the inventory. The character needs to hold 4. 4 bullets for the rocket. Right? So right here, I need to initialize. Oh, this is the wrong class. Yikes. I'm looking at the wrong class. Sorry. It's this class right here. I need a this is gonna be rocket launcher or grenade launcher. Grenade launcher, carried ammunition, and change this to 4. No. Grenade launcher, I'll put it like to 12. And for the rocket launcher, I'll put this to 4. Right? And then let's go ahead and initialize this. So we have pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles. We need rocket launchers and grenade launchers. Grenade launchers and rocket launchers. What I'm doing right now is just I'm initializing the inventory of the character. So whenever you pick up a weapon, it uses the however many ammo you have in your inventory. That's how much you're gonna be, like however many bullets for a specific weapon you're carrying in your inventory. That's what you're gonna use when you reload. So grenade launcher. So like just think of this as your inventory. When you're reloading, you're taking ammo out of your inventory and putting it in the weapon. This is what this is right here. And this is rocket launcher. I have a not very powerful laptop, 3050. The only problem is that the video memory is not enough. Like to learn Unreal Engine enough. Oh, I see. Yeah, your VRAM. Well, you can always fix your VRAM. Well, I'm not sure how much you'll fix it, but if you just change your settings to like low, that should help a lot, right? To try adjusting your scalability settings, put it to low and see if it helps. For learning, right? Or even playing games, you can just set it on low, and I think you'll be alright. So, did I compile it? I don't know if I compiled it. I did. Alright. That's still too fast. That speed is too fast. Let's change the rocket launcher speed. Let's try 15,000. That's still kind of too fast. I just want to see it like, and I'm gonna have to stop the music because I need to hear it. So music has to go on hold. Sorry. And I need to hear it. So I don't hear an explosion. I heard it. Alright, so let's test this out, right? And I want the crosshairs to be more spread apart. It's too close right now. I want them to be more further apart. So let's fix the crosshairs. Let's try 3. Oh yeah, 'cause this is the wrong one. Let's change this back to 1. Oh, it crashed. Dang it. That's one thing about using an older version of Unreal Engine, is that sometimes it crashes when you press undo. I pressed undo and it crashed. What I'm trying to do, I want the crosshairs to be spread apart more, but let's just take it one step at a time. Okay. Let's see. This is damage. Weapon fire interval. I'll deal with the crosshairs later. I have to remember how I implemented them. How to spread apart. But let's see. Actually, let's just do that right now. Let's go to the HUD. And we can go to draw crosshair. Right. And we're drawing it at the center. Plus crosshair spread value. So this is what I need to modify. Crosshair spread value is set here. Multiply by crosshair spread multiplier. So like, I know if I change this to like 4, when I fire it, then the crosshairs will be spread really far apart. But I want it to be spread apart by default. Right? Because when I add the recoil effect, like, it's gonna be like that, right? It's gonna be like this. Okay, we'll change this later. It's not a big deal for now. What I want to do right now is it's the speed of the projectile is kind of gravity is enabled, right? But the speed makes it fly. It drops too fast. So I'm gonna change this to 10,000, and then we're gonna test the audio to make sure the audio we can hear it. So we're gonna spawn. Actually, I need to. I want my character to spawn with the rocket launcher. So let's go ahead and set the character to spawn with it. The primary weapon class is going to be BP rocket launcher. That's what we're going to spawn with. And we're going to spawn up here. Let's spawn up here. Yikes. I need to increase the number of players to 2. Actually, I'll put it to 3. So we can have 1 server and 2 clients. And we'll spawn right here. Hopefully they don't fall off. Dang it. And I need to set this to listen server so it simulates me playing online. Uh-oh. Well, one of them fell off, so we'll use that one first to test out the audio. I want to make sure the in-air sound is playing correctly, right? So, okay, let's just move this one right here. And for this client, we'll go all the way down here. And we're gonna shoot this client. Hold on. Hey, what logic do you use for sound? Just throwing out an idea. Sound bubbles. That has the earring range. Emitters have their own sound plays for distance. Custom play range. Plus emitter range. For the sound logic, I'm using sound attenuations, right? So it depends like what I'm going for. Right now, what I'm going for is let's see. Yikes. My fault. I have to make sure the stream was alright. So for Yikes, where's my mouse? Alright, so for sound, what I'm doing is for this instance, or rather for this example, I'm aiming to shoot this rocket down there, right? I'll use this character, this is the server, or we could just use the client. So I'm gonna shoot the rocket where this character is, and I want to see if this character is gonna hear the rocket that this character shoots when the rocket. I basically want to see how close the rocket is before this character can hear it, right? And that what handles that is if I show it to you, it's called a sound attenuation. Let's go to combat, weapon packs. Right, sound right here. I go to attenuation, then I go to rocket. So right here, I actually need to change this to, let me change this real quick to, so these sound attenuations is what controls like when you hear the sound, right? This is for the footsteps. So you see the footsteps has an inner radius of 50 and an outer and a fall off of nearly 2000. So you start hearing like a footstep of a character when they're like within 15 units to your character. And I want you to hear the rocket when it's around, let's change this to like 500 units close to you, and I want it to stop falling off. So like when it's 2000 units away from you, that's when you shouldn't hear it anymore. And this is when you should hear it at maximum, when it's like 500 units away from you. And this is when you should not hear it, right? So this is what I'm using for the sound. And then in the code, I'm just playing like for the rocket. I'm just playing. If I go to projectile explosive, this is a header file. I'm playing the sound attached to the rocket. So I'm attaching this, I'm spawning this sound and I'm attaching it to the rocket, and wherever the rocket is, I'm playing the sound. And this is the sound that plays when the rocket's in the air. So I want to hear that sound that's playing on the rocket when it's in the air using these parameters, the values of these parameters. Yeah, it says the sound attenuation is an Unreal Engine, like it's just if you go like this, if you right click and go to sound, audio, and sound attenuation, that's what that is. And you can use it. I mean, the sound you can get really complicated with sound. Like you can get really involved, but I'm not a sound designer. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible while still getting the effects that I want right. Bro, what's going on with this character? That's a bug I gotta fix. Anyway, yeah. So to test the sound, I'm gonna first pause the music, because I need to be able to hear it. And then I'm going to increase my volume of my desktop so I can hear it. You guys might hear it echo. And I'm gonna go to this screen right here, to this player, and I'm gonna type in a command. It's called solo audio. It's called debug solo audio, right? So now whatever we hear is gonna be from this screen right here, right? We're not gonna hear anything from this character, from the perspective of this character or this character. So let's shoot a rocket. right here. And I'm gonna shoot it pretty high because it might fall. I don't know how the distance is gonna take for it to fall. Oops. Let's shoot it with the let's shoot it with this character. Let's shoot it over here. Okay. Oh, I don't have any more ammo. Alright, let's go. Alright, so we heard it a little bit. It was kind of fast. And I don't hear the explosion. Right? So I should hear the explosion. Right? You don't hear the explosion, right? And I don't think the explosion is, let's see. Right. I'm not playing the impact sound. So on component hit, I'm spawning this, but I'm not playing the impact sound. So let's play the impact sound. Let's see, where's destroyed at? It's right here. And this is why I'm not playing the impact sound, because this is not being implemented yet. Right. So I'm not implementing this function right here because the sound pack that I want to use this for the impact sounds, right? I don't have it yet. I didn't purchase it yet. That's another thing about game development. It's costly when you're doing it solo. I can only imagine how costly it is when you're working with a team. So to play the impact sound, I'm just gonna let's see. I'm gonna copy this and I'll paste it right here. And I'll copy this because this is not being used. This map is not being used. Right? So I'm not playing any sound. So I'll just copy it. I'll just copy this and this declaration and I'll paste it right here. Just for the explosives. Until I get those sound packs. Not the sound packs, until I get the surface types. Oh, I'm sorry. Until I get the what am I saying? There is a let me show it to you guys. This right here. I want to get this and this, right? So like the different surface types that I hit is gonna determine what sound plays. So So until I get those packs, I'm not using this sound pack this map that I developed, right? With all these surface types, because I don't have the sound for them, right? These are for footsteps. And I need to change these with sounds for like bullets and explosives. So that's what this logic is for, right? But nothing's playing right now. So just for now, as a temporary placeholder, I will copy this, right? And I'll initialize this. Here, I'll see if it's valid, and then I'll play the sound at the location, and I'll play it wherever the actor is. Dang, bro, yo, when when I'm using Blender, I'm always saving. I'm always saving. At like every second, I'm pressing Control Shift S, Control Shift S, Control Shift S, because the crash, man, is unavoidable. You know, the crash happens so fast and unexpectedly. So I'm always saving, because you never know when you're gonna need when the computer is gonna say F you and decide to turn off the Blender application, right? Or when the Blender's gonna say, yeah, screw you, you know? Not the computer, but Blender itself. Impact surface sound to play. And for the impact surface sound to play, let's go ahead and impact surface. I thought I actually wait a minute. It's right here. Did I not? What am I doing? Impact sound to play. Impact sound to play. It's right here. So where is this being used? Oh, I'm not even using it. That's why. Okay. I don't need this. I need to use this. Right here. Because that's what I set to play the impact sound. Right? There we go. Now let's see if everything works. And of course this character falls outside of the map. It spawned outside of the map. So let's go back up here. And we'll go back over here. And we'll shoot over there with this class. Okay, and let's turn on the audio. Turn on the audio for this class, for this character, using solo. The command solo audio. Debug solo audio. And let me put the volume, let me pause the music. And put the volume up of my monitor. Yo, Nerp, where are you from? Where you from, Nerp? Alright, so let's shoot down there. Alright, so it sounds good, right? And the smoke, see the smoke trails? The smoke trails stays visible until the actor's destroyed. Or the actor's not even destroyed. You see? The missile's right there. So I think that's a good distance to hear the missile. If we shoot over here, or right here, let's see right here. You don't hear it from that far, so I think that sounds good, right? We can go and test it with this character. And let's put this gun away. Right. And let's shoot over here. I think that's good for that's a good distance, right? Because you don't hear it until it's really close. And you don't, yeah, and the explosions, if I shoot over here, I don't hear the explosion, but if I shoot over here, I kind of hear it. I have no more rockets. So I think that's good. I'll leave it like that. Oh, you're in Brazil. Yeah, you know, that's just it's just a huge it's just a currency difference. Like $150 here or 250. I think the pack was like 200 150, right? I think it's 150. I don't really remember. Yeah, 150. So you said this is a month's wage. Oh, half a month? It's almost half of the month's wage, right? But here, that's not this. It's not the same case for America, right? So it's just conversion difference. Like it's sold at $150 US dollars, but I'm sure if the person who made it lived in Brazil and this website was a Brazilian website, it wouldn't be 150 US dollars. It will be whatever. What's the Brazilian currency? Is it peso? What is Brazilian currency? The real, right? Oh my gosh. Right? So like 150. I don't see the Brazilian real. The hell? Yeah, the Brazilian real, man. Like, that's what I was looking for. I can't find it, man, but oh my gosh, come on. Alright, so what I was saying is like if this was if this was made in Brazil and this website was Brazilian, I doubt it'll be 150 US dollars over there, right? It'll probably be like, I don't know, actually I can't even tell you how much I think it'll be because I don't know the cost of living there for real. But it'll be whatever. So in America, this will last you. Let's just search it up. Depending on where you live in America, let's say you live in Virginia, which is not too expensive. It's not like New York or like a big city like DC. I mean, it's not like a big city like New York or like a major city like DC or anything. It's just Virginia's like a nice state that's not too expensive, right? So in the US, cost of living in Virginia, okay. So this is annually. It's not a exact number, but like 3,000 a month, and then half of that. Also in America, this is, we'll just say for just for guesses, just for like an idea of how much you need to live. You need this much to live in America, whereas you said this is half of a month's wage in Brazil. This is not even gonna last you in America. This is not even gonna last you if you're living alone. Half a month, right? This is maybe like 4 days if you had to 4 days worth of living in America, right? So it's just a convert. If I had to guess, I might be completely wrong. but this is about around 4 days worth of living in America, right? Because things here is just more expensive. So, and things over there are not so expensive. So it's just cost of living, man. Like people need more money here to live because everything's so much more expensive. So at the end of the day, you think you have more money than you do have, but after you spend it on bills, food, rent, phone bills, internet bill, all the money that you think that we have is not really that much unless you're just making a lot, right? So I hope that makes sense. I hope my logic kind of makes sense. Yeah, like three. When I say it'll last like 3 days, I'm talking about because you have to pay bills like rent. You have to pay your internet bill, your phone bill, insurance, electricity, water, gas, and in the whole month, all that added together is like all those bills added together is around. Actually, I just did the math, right? So if we just take this and divide it by 12, that's how much you're spending like in a this is how much you're spending like in a month on all your bills, right? And if you divide this by, let's say a month has 30 days, so you're spending this much a day, right? But this is like a day's worth of living. Not even 3 days. This is one day's worth of living. Or this is a little under one day's worth of living. If you take all your bills and add it together, how much you're paying a month, and then you divide it by this. No. If you take all everything you earn a year, well, let's say you earn like 70 grand a year, right? Because that's like a good amount to earn for like someone who's out of school and they're living alone, they're not married, and they have a career. They just started their career, right? Like in game development, 70 grand. This is like an entry level job in game development, right? Like an entry level programmer, they make like 70 grand, right? So you divide 70 grand by 12. This is how much you're making a year. I mean a month. You make 70,000 a year in America. This is how much you make a month, right? And the cost of living is where is it? Um, let's just put monthly, right? All right, so for a family of four, it's 6,000 with rent in the city area. Well, so 2,500 for a single person, right? In Virginia, that's like half of what you earn. Well, a little under half, but that minus 2,500. So you left with this much after you pay all your bills. And if your bills is 2,500, you divide that by how many days are in a month, because you earn $5,000 a month, and this is how many dollars you spend on bills for that month. So you divide that by, let's say, 30. All right, so I was right. It was around 3 days. So that that times three is 250. So it was around 2 days worth. 83 times 2. Yeah, this is like 2 days worth of living, right? I hope that makes sense. I got into a whole rant about cost of living and crap. I should be developing this game. My fault. um. So yeah, don't think that you see a large number in American dollars and it's like, damn, those guys over there, those guys have a lot of fucking money to be. Excuse my language. Those guys have a lot of money to be spending on a game. It's not even like that. It is a lot of money, but at the same time, it's not a lot of money, right? But it is a lot of money to be like, if you spend that much money on an asset to buy a game, you better be hoping to make money from the game. Like, I wouldn't recommend anyone spend this much money on anything 3D related if they're not trying to make money, right? If they're not trying to do it professionally and get a return. It's just not worth it, man. Like, spending money like this, even $12 is too much, man. On a 3D asset, like, there's no point in spending any money if you're not gonna make money back. Like, don't spend any money. Don't do it. I don't recommend you do it. Find some friends that you can share your assets with and share assets. Cause I mean, that's you learning, right? Alright, so let me continue doing this. So the rocket is good. Now I need to destroy this. When it hits, I want to destroy the rocket, right? So when it hits, I want to create a timer, and then I want to destroy it, and that's gonna cause the smoke trails to disappear. The smoke trails that follow behind the rocket, they're gonna disappear a little bit. They're gonna disappear like at the right time, basically. That's what I wanted to happen. Otherwise, you see the rocket mesh is still on the ground when you shoot it, and it's still visible, and the smoke trails are visible, and then they disappear later on, right? So, right, you look right here, the smoke trails, they're still there, right? But the rocket's still over there. So that's why I put 3 seconds, because in 3 seconds, I'm gonna put 3 seconds, a 3-second timer, so that by the time the explosion happens and the smoke settles and everything's like gone, I think that's around 3 seconds. So 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, that's around 3 seconds. When the smoke is gone, like from the explosion, that's when I want the rocket to disappear. So let's create a timer. Bro, I have a 2060 stipend at university for bachelor's degree. It's enough for just cigarettes. If I smoke, and it takes up all my time, and without my parents' money, it's unrealistic. Yo, I understand, Michaela. It's the same here, man. Unless you get a really good scholarship, it's just you have to. You need your parents' help, man. A lot of college students, like, they live like they're. I mean, they're in school. They're spending so much money in school, and they have no money, man. Like, no money to like spend on leisure stuff, on luxury items or whatever, right? I was blessed that I mean, God just took care of me when I was in school. I'm not gonna lie. He blessed me and he took care of all my college fees, university fees, and help me with money to get through and live like well off when I was in university. But if God didn't help me, man, with money, I wouldn't have money either, man. I would be just like everyone else in school. Like, I'm not special. I just got blessed, you know. Like, I already know how it is. So your parents, you have to, your parents, people, you have to get help from your parents, you know. Like, that's the only way to make it through, unless you're just really wise and smart and you're making money on your own, you know. But I'm not wise and I'm not smart. I mean, I'm just, man, I already know the struggle, man. I know the struggle all too well. That's why game development is like I see game development as my gateway to financial freedom, because it's fun and I understand it and I love video games, and there's a lot of money to be made in video games. So I wish I did this when I was in university, you know. If I was doing this in school, I would not have a life and I wouldn't even care. I would not have a life. I would just make my game so I could take care of my family as soon as the game launched, you know. And I'll say screw school, man, because I didn't go to school for this, but here I am doing it, you know. Wanting to make it my career, my livelihood, you know. I wanted this to be one of my main sources of income, you know, game development. So I'm kind of sad I didn't start earlier when I was in university, but it's not too many years that went past, so still have a lot of time. But it just makes me think, man, if I just started when I was in school, you know. So I'm gonna start hold on. Less than what I expected. Buying cost of living is like income. No, it's all right. It's all right, Nerf. I understand. Yeah, it doesn't. Hey, I don't mind talking about stuff that's not game development. I really don't. I mean, we're all human, right? So we can talk about other stuff, life, whatever. Start. So right now, I'm starting the timer to destroy the rocket. Right. Start. Destroy timer. So this is the timer. I'm gonna call this as soon as we hit something. I'm gonna start the destroy timer, and I'm gonna fully qualify the function. So right here, we're going to get the world timer manager, right? And call set timer. And set timer takes, I know I need a F timer handle. And this is going to be called destroy timer handle, and we'll also need a duration. So this is going to be a float. We can call this destroy timer duration, right? And we're going to initialize this to, let's say, 3 seconds. And it's a typo. So we need the timer handle. This is destroy destroy timer handle, and this is destroy timer duration, right? And do I want it to loop? No. Right? Wait a minute. I'm missing something. I need to pass in the function delegate that I want to call. Right, I need to use this. I need to use this one, this overload. So I need to pass in this. Right? And what I want to call is, I'm gonna create a function, destroy. Actually, I'll call this destroy timer complete. Right? And I'll go ahead and create that function right here. And I'll fully qualify this function by just playing the same song. And I'll fully qualify it by putting the cog of declaring it in the class, right? And in this function, I'm going to call destroy. And then if we look over here, whenever this is the class that this inherits from, whenever destroy is called, this is whenever something is destroyed, this happens as well, right? But we don't want anything to happen because we're already playing the impact sound, and we're already spotting the explosion effects. So what we're gonna do is we're going to override this function right here, destroyed, so that when destroy gets called and this gets called in result of it, this won't be called, right? We don't want all this extra stuff to happen that we already took care of, right? So when it gets called in this class, nothing's gonna happen. So let's override. Let's find out where destroyed. We'll just copy this and paste it right here. So we're overriding it. So it's gonna, when destroy gets called, this gets called once this is complete. Once the actor is destroyed, this is gonna be called, and nothing's gonna happen. But when we're shooting like an assault rifle, we do it this way. But let's not get off track. I don't want to get off track and start explaining infinite things, right? So right there, and the next thing, the timer handle needs to go first. So I had the wrong overload, so I'm gonna pass this in there. So we passed in the timer handle, the user object, the delegate, and now we need the end rate, right, which is right here, and we don't want it to loop. So we hit something, we spawn the impact particles, we start the destroy timer, and then we play the sound. This is just a temporary, so I just put temporary implementation. Right, and then we'll do all this. So this should take care of rockets, and then all that's left is to apply damage, and then all that's left is to apply damage, and then we can do grenade launchers, which is basically the same logic, except it's just gonna have some bouncing onto it. Actually, let's do damage first, before we even test it. So when we hit something, we want to say if we have authority, which means we're on the server. If we have authority, then what we want to do is only apply damage on the server, right? The server has control over the damage, and we can create a function right here for applying damage. We can call this apply damage. Wait a minute, this is the this is the right apply damage, right? And we can copy this in here, and then we can fully qualify this function by declaring it in the class, right? Now to apply damage, we need gameplay statics. We have gameplay statics already. So let's call the gameplay statics function, which is called apply damage or fall off. And I'm just gonna write damage, apply radio damage or fall off, right? This needs a world context object. I'm gonna pass in this. We're using this class as the object that the Unreal Engine is gonna look for in the world. The float, the base damage. So the way I coded it is the weapon attribute, projectile weapon. If we go to weapons, right? Weapons and go to components. Right here, weapon attribute component. This is where all the damage is stored on the weapon. How much damage to inflict and all that. This is stored in a component that exists on the weapon, right? Just like similar to this exists on the character. The character attribute component exists on the character, and this holds like the ammunition, you know, the health, so any buffs, armor, all that will exist on the character attribute component. The weapon attribute component holds like the ammunition, you know, for the weapon, the magazine capacity, and damage value to inflict, and so on, right? Like if you and when the weapon has like, you know, attachments and stuff like that, like suppressors or whatever, they'll all be in this class, the weapon attribute component, right? So to apply damage, we need to get a hold of this component, right? That exists on the weapon, and then we need to get this value, right? So we need to get that. We need to get a hold of the weapon, which is the owner of this projectile explosive, right? So this projectile explosive is owned by this weapon, right? This is the owner of this projectile explosive, and the owner of this weapon is whoever is holding it. So since we're holding this weapon, we have it on our body, we have it like it's ours, we're the owner. Whereas this weapon down here doesn't have an owner, right? It's just sitting there in the world. So even if I like switched it with this, now that one doesn't have an owner and this one does, the one I just picked up, right? And if we go over here and we pick up, let's say we pick up this assault rifle, now that doesn't have an owner, and this assault rifle that I just picked up in the world, I'm the owner, right? And so on. So that's how ownership works, right? So we need to get a hold of the owner of this projectile that we're working on right now. This class is this projectile right here. So we need to get a hold of the owner. By the way, what is your workflow to Git? How often do you commit? I commit a lot. Well, I can't say a lot. I commit it depends what I'm working on. Like right now, I'm working on these projectiles. So after I implement this projectile and it's working well, I'll commit a push, right? I'll push and I'll commit these changes, and then I'll do the next update, which will be like grenade launchers. Then I'll push that, commit, and so on. But if I'm working on like bugs or anything, then I'll create a whole, I mean, I'm always creating new branches and stuff and then merging the updates. But if I'm working on bugs, then it's pretty similar. I just commit, I make a new branch for bugs. I work on a bug on that branch. Then I make a branch for bugs, and then I make a sub branch of that branch for bugs for a specific bug. Then I fix the bug. Then I merge that resolve onto the branch that I made for bugs. And then I make a new branch that draws off of that main branch for the bugs for the next bug, and so on. And I commit when something is resolved. I did use like for my prototype when I was working on the parkour system. I did use, you know, the git bash. You know, I did use this, and you know, like do the regular, like there's no changes, but you know, I did use git bash, but oh wait, I didn't check this. I didn't check. Um, you know, getting it, and then check status. You know, there's no, and I'll just push like if there's a change, then I'll just add it and then commit it and then push it using git bash. But now since I started working on this project, I've been using this git desktop app because it's just easier for me to look at the changes like right here, because I'm also storing my U assets as well as my code, right? And I could just check my history like really easily, right? Like right here. Whereas in git bash I have to like type all the code and stuff. This application just stores all of my, it's just easier, right? But I think learning git bash is the way to go, so that when you use the application, you're already familiar with git, right? So like right now I'm working on the firefight system, the shooter system. When I'm finished, I'll just merge that to master and then work on the next system, right? So why not store all the variables in the weapon itself rather than the weapon component? Because it's easier to expand on, right? It's easier to, it's more, and I believe is more neat. It makes the code more neat, not having everything in one class in case you need to expand on it. Because like the weapon class, like this is the base weapon class, right? But then this weapon class has children called a projectile weapon, right? Is a child of weapon. Raycast weapon is a child of weapon, and so on. And so just having the weapon, the base weapon class, set the component, and then the children use that component that you set within them, right? It just makes scaling a lot easier. I just believe it's easier to scale your system by having a base class, and then children derive from that base class, and then whatever is in the base class that you need to use, you can set it on your children. And if it's a component, like having components handle specific things, it just makes it easier to find what you're looking for, and just to keep everything organized. Like if you have a component for lagging, for handling network lag, you have a component for buffing your character, you know, even though I believe for the character, like having like the character attribute component, this will handle buffing and health and all that stuff. But just having components that handle like specific things is the way to go. Like I have I'm just gonna say that I have like a combat component, you know, I have a custom movement component, you know, and that just helps with keeping stuff organized and scaling. Like imagine if I had all this code. This is it's like 25,000 lines of code right here, right? If I had this in a character class, like that would be very like sloppy. If I had this all the code here for all the movement for the character inside the character class, along with everything else, like imagine how bad that would look trying to find something. Like this is the character class, right? Wait, that's not the character class. The character class is here, right? This is the character class, right? It's already lengthy. It's not like, it has like 1,000 lines of code. Like 1,000 lines of code. And, you know, and this is the base class, and then I have another class that derives from this class. So like I have that's the base class, right? And then I have this class that derives from that class. This is the class that I'm using that derives from that main character class, and this is the one with all the implementations, right? Not all of them, but like the ones that are overridden. And that one has the base implementations, and it just makes scaling easier, right? So I hope that answers your question. Having more classes and that derive from other classes, and having components handle specific things, it just helps the organization and scaling. Where was I? I was attribute component. I don't need this anymore. Gonna close these because I don't need them. Weapon attribute, I need this one, I need this one. I don't need this. I don't need that. Right? And I don't need this either. Alright, this is what we're working on, right? We need to get the owner of this projectile. So let's get the owner of this projectile. We can create a local variable called a weapon. And actually I do need that weapon class. I shouldn't have closed it. and I don't want to look for the CVP file, so I'm just going to look for, I'm just going to open this. Alright, so now I have both of them open, and I know I'm going to need to include this here. So I'll go ahead and do that because I'm getting the owner. So creating an A weapon pointer. And we're going to call this owning weapon, right? And we're going to initialize this with a cast to A weapon. Cast A weapon, and what's being casted, sorry, I cast the A weapon, and what's being casted is get owner. Yo, did my computer just freeze? It froze for a second. Alright. Get owner. Am I still streaming? I don't know if I'm still live. Yeah, I'm good. Alright, I'm still live. Alright, nice. Thanks, Nerf. Alright, so owning player weapon is equal. We're gonna initialize owning player weapon, owning weapon for the cast, the A weapon, and what we're casting is get owner. Right, because get owner returns an A actor, so we have to convert that conversion to an owning weapon, an A weapon, to cast it to an A weapon. Okay. And if this is valid, so we're gonna say if owning weapon is valid, right, we're going to get the weapon attribute component, right? We're gonna create a local U weapon attribute component, and we're gonna call it weapon attribute component. And we're gonna initialize this weapon attribute component with owning weapon get weapon attribute component. And this is a getter function that I created here, right, in the weapon class.